We are in Southern California covering the California Rifle and Pistol Association's annual gala with NRA President David Keene. David, why are you here tonight?
California is important. You know, in a lot of ways, California sets precedents for the rest of the country. And our folks in California are really facing some challenges. I don't know how many bills were dumped into the legislature today, but many of them are the equal of the kind of thing that passed in New York not too long ago.
Right.
So we're here to let the folks in California know that we're standing with them and that we're going to do what we can to help them out here, as tough as the fight may be, because this is a battle we're all involved in this year, and it's one that we're going to have to win in every place that it's fought.
You are an old hand in Washington. You know politics better than anybody. Would you or would you not take gun advice from Vice President Biden?
Well, you know, I suggested to somebody after we saw the pictures of the president at Camp David that we have 80,000 certified instructors, and I'm sure one of them would be willing to help him.
Yeah.
It's going to take more than one to help Joe, because this guy can't get anything right.
But I mean, he gave, when you look at it and listen to it, it was illegal advice in the state of Delaware.
Well, if his wife actually went out and fired the shotgun
Right.
that he advised her to fire, a double-barreled shotgun, into the air in the back of their house, Delaware officials have already indicated that if she did that, they'd have to lock her up. And in addition to that, he was arguing that this is what you need to protect yourself. If she fired both barrels into the air, she would then be defenseless.
Right. She'd have a club.
So she'd be a defenseless felon.
Right. But you know, we joke about it. But when you look at advice like that, and then you look at House Representative Joe Salazar in Colorado and his advice on, protecting yourself from rape
With a pen?
with a pen, or throwing up, or urinating, just this crazy advice when it comes to women protecting themselves. Why do so many people have a problem with women using guns to protect themselves?
Well, they have a problem actually with anybody using a firearm and possessing a firearm or owning a firearm. So they're in this cultural war in which they would love to see a country without firearms at all. And so they have to argue that either there aren't any criminals, that's why they don't prosecute them and blame the crimes they commit on guns, or argue on the other hand that you don't need a gun to protect yourself. You know, there's a state legislator here in California who wants to disarm the police in this state because she doesn't think they should have firearms. This is an ideological, cultural war that we're in. It has little to do with crime. It has little to do with preventing another mass shooting. It has everything to do with firearms. You'll remember, and your viewers will remember, that when Joe Biden headed the task force that President Obama appointed him to head, and when we sent Jim Baker, our federal legislative man, up to that task force, they closed the door, and the first thing he said, the first thing that Vice President Biden said to the people gathered there was, you know, the President and I have strong views on firearms and what needs to be done about them, so let's move on to something else. That's what it was all about. They did not put this program together to protect children. They didn't put it together to protect schools. They didn't put it together to deal with the violently mentally ill who ought to be prevented from having any gun, not just one with a pistol grip. And they didn't do it to do anything about gun crime, because they're still not going to prosecute criminals who use firearms illegally. What they put it together with, and what this program is all about, is taking firearms to the extent that they can get away with it, away from honest Americans who have every right under the Second Amendment to have firearms for legitimate purposes and to defend themselves and their family.
Last question, Dave. You know, we're here in California. You know, the two of us are in Washington, and you talk about New York. You talk about just those media empires, I guess, and with a very anti-gun message. But when you really talk to people and you see the successes in membership, you see the successes in numbers of guns sold, you see the back orders that are unbelievable.
Right.
It does seem to be that this, if you listen to them, we're losing, but it seems like in reality we're winning.
You know, when you're up against a president, and when you're up against $1 billion from somebody like Michael Bloomberg, and when you're up against some of the people that we've somehow managed to get elected to public office in this country, you've got a fight on your hands. But if you go out and talk to the American people, you feel a lot better than you feel if you're in Washington. You know, we may lose a battle here and there, but we're not going to lose this war. We are going to be able to preserve the Second Amendment rights of the American people. And when I say we, I'm not talking about the NRA. I'm talking about the millions of Americans who believe as we do and who share our values. Imagine the shock that must have gone through the White House a few weeks ago when Rasmussen took his poll and said, in your view, what's the major reason that we have a Second Amendment? And 65% of the American people said the Second Amendment is in the Bill of Rights to protect us from a tyranny here in the United States. The American people get it. They know this is an ideological war. They know it doesn't have anything to do with crime. They know it has to do with the fact that the people that are arrayed against us don't like the kind of America that's developed since the Founding Fathers wrote those documents. They'd like to see an America more like Europe. And we're all together on this. You saw this in Pennsylvania when the largest outdoor show in America collapsed in 36 hours because everybody joined in reaction against the organizers' decisions not to allow any semi-automatic modern rifles to be displayed.
You're not kidding, everybody. You're talking boating, fishing expeditions, everybody.
The first people to walk out were the bow hunters, and I don't think they use AR-15s. You know, and then the people that sell boats and fishing equipment walked out. Everybody who's thought about it knows that this is about who we are. This is about what this country represents. This is about freedom. It's not just about the AR-15, though that's very important. It's about us. And because of that, we're more united. There are more of us than there ever have been. And you know, the President of the United States got some advice at Christmas time from the last president that tried to do this, and that was Bill Clinton. And you'll remember he said, this is a road you should go down very carefully because you may not know what's at the end of it. We know what's at the end of it, and that is that the American people, once again, are going to be able to preserve their rights as long as they stand up together and fight for them.
NRA President David Keene. Thanks, David.
My pleasure. Thanks.